All right, so this is part two of AP European History Review, Unit 1. This is Age of Exploration from 1400 to 1600. And before Renaissance, we went over that. That was 1300 to 1600. Okay, so Age of Exploration, they're gonna build up their knowledge from what they knew from the Middle Ages, from the medieval times, and they're going to use it as foundation for the Age of Exploration. And really, Age of Exploration is going to be encouraged by Renaissance curiosity and tech development. So by tech development, they're going to have compass, firearms, and the astrolabe. So those, I think, are the top three most important technology advancements. Compass, you already know what that is. And astrolabe is that picture on the right, and it's used in navigation to calculate and measure latitude, really. And firearms is going to be super important before and during the Age of Exploration. So, well, I guess at the start of the Age of Exploration, not really before. And firearms are important because they are going to be used as protection against any hostile environment that they, face while exploring. And so what that's going to do is going to make people feel safer about going out and about. And that means that sponsors are going to be more willing to risk their money, and they're going to be more willing to invest. And so some motivations for the Age of Exploration are they're going to want to find a water route to the east. So during the Crusades, they kind of got a taste of, cultural goods from the east, like spices and fabric. And really, they're just going to be in love with the culture and goods of the east. And it's really going to be mostly rich people. And another motivation is to gain resources. And Age of Exploration really is going to be, later on, it's going to be this competition to be the richest country in Europe or, in the world. And thirdly, it's going to be the big old three: God, glory, and gold. So God is going to, one excuse or purpose is going to be to spread the Christian religion. And second, glory is all these conquistadors that are going to go out to explore. They want their fame and they want to be known and they want to earn money from exploration. And gold is really for each of the countries to get resources and to be the richest that they can be. Right. So Portugal is going to be one of the main countries that we're going to have to know. Portugal is going to be the first country to go out and explore. So some reasons for Portugal being the first country to explore is going to be they're not going to have any internal conflicts. They're going to be pretty unified. It's going to be a unified monarchy. And a lot of people in Portugal, they're going to be mostly poor, and because their economy is mostly agricultural, they're going to lack wealth. So there's a lot of incentive actually to go out and explore and see what they can get from the outside world. And they're going to have the right equipment and knowledge. And Portugal is going to be familiar with the Atlantic because they have a majority fishing economy. And by right equipment means they have these ships, the caravels is what they call it. They're going to be ships made specifically for travel. So they're going to have high rails and really thick sails, so just perfect for traveling. And it's going to be something that not every country has. It's going to be the equipment that only Portugal has hands on, and it's really what allows them to be the first. So within Portugal, there's Prince Henry the Navigator, and I've highlighted some the three important people that you need to know from Portugal. One is Prince Henry the Navigator, and he's gonna start a navigation school, and he's really the pioneer of exploration from Portugal. And what Portugal is going to want to do is they're going to search for a route to the east around Africa. So Portugal has already have factories in Africa, and they want more from the east. Really, they want to go into Asia, and so that's why they're looking for a route around Africa. And another person you need to know is Vasco da Gama. And I like to just know the last names as usual, so I would just say da Gama. And he's going to be the first to reach the shores of India. And really, that's not much else I don't think I need to know about him. So, but yeah, he's going to be the first to reach the shores of India, the actual India. Um, And then Cabral is going to be the one who accidentally discovers Brazil. And he's going to turn Brazil to a sugar production colony. So those are the big three that you need to know for Portugal, that we need to know for Portugal. All right, next is Spain. So Spain and Portugal are going to be the top two countries we need to know because they're going to be the first two to really go out and explore. And Spain is going to be Portugal's rival, really. And Ferdinand and Isabella are going to be the rulers of Spain, and they're going to sponsor Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, if you didn't know, he's an Italian colonizer, and he wants to sail through the Atlantic to go to the east, really. So Portugal wanted to go around Africa to go to the east. Well, Spain was going the other way. They were going west to get to the east. But unfortunately, he was not aware of how big the world actually was, and so he arrived in North America instead of India. And it's going to result in this Columbian exchange, and we all know what that is. So some Spanish conquistadors, or Spanish conquerors, they're going to be Cortez and Pizarro. And the first couple things that we need to know about the natives is that when the conquistadors got there, they thought they were from godly descent. So that allowed for an easier submission into to the European explorers. And Cortez, he's going to go to Mexico, and he's going to seize the Aztec Empire. He's going to take over the capital, Tenochtitlan. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I've come across this term multiple times, but I still don't know how to pronounce it. And then he's also going to take over Montezuma. And Montezuma is the ruler of the Aztecs. And what he's going to do, he's going to steal the gold and treasures, and he's really going to just defeat the natives. He really just left nothing but destruction. And other natives are going to be willing to help Cortez and his army because the Aztecs were very much known to do human sacrifices to the gods. So other natives, they didn't really like that, and so they had no problem helping the Europeans against the Aztecs. And Pizarro, he's going to go to Peru, and he's going to take over the Incan Empire. So we have Atahualpa, who is the ruler of the Incan Empire, and Pizarro's gonna hold him hostage. And so in exchange, he's gonna get gold and other goods, and he's gonna rule the Incan Empire through Atahualpa. But he's gonna kill him anyways at the end. It really didn't make much of a difference. And so one thing that gave the Europeans an advantage over the natives, well, actually one is going to be their technology, like firearms. They're going to have horses. It's going to be just they have their tools and weapons were more developed per se against the natives, and most importantly, disease. So Europeans, they're not just going to bring over weapons and just all these other things. They're also going to bring over disease like the measles and smallpox. And what that's going to do is, since the natives were not used to that, they're gonna die. They are definitely gonna die, and they did. And so that means smaller numbers in army and in defense. So it's gonna give way to the Europeans, and it's gonna give them the advantage. So they essentially just lose. All right, and this is just a picture of the Columbian Exchange. So from the New World to the Old World, the New World being North America, and the Old World being Europe. It's going to be tobacco and turkey and cacao beans. Tobacco is going to be really important because the Europeans are really going to like it. And they're going to make it into tobacco products and sell throughout Europe. And then from Europe to North America, from Old World to the New World, we're going to have coffee beans, we're going to have honeybees, we're going to have livestock, and most importantly, we're going to have diseases. Like I said, smallpox and measles, malaria, and influenza, and all of that. Okay, and then we have settlement. So after they explore a little bit, they're going to start to settle into the New World. And what they're going to do, the two E's I like to remember by, is extract and exploit. They're going to extract resources, and they're going to exploit not just the resources, but also the natives. So the resources are going to be gold, silver, timber, really anything that they can get their hands on. And the colonies are going to start producing sugar, cotton, and tobacco, and they're going to send that raw material to the mother country. And what they're going to do in the mother country is turn that into products that can be distributed within Europe. And another important thing that the Europeans are going to bring, this is from the Spanish, is the encomienda system. And it's where natives are going to provide free labor to the Spaniards in exchange for protection and education. But really, it was more of a forced labor kind of system. And as a result, you know, these natives being in contact with the Europeans, they're going to die from disease. They're going to contract these diseases and they're going to die. So what that led to was it's going to make the Europeans, in this case the Spaniards, turn to Africa for free labor. And that's when we're going to have the slave trade. So another country, well, there are two more countries other than Spain and Portugal that we need to know, but these aren't going to be, we don't really need to know that deep in context, I don't think. And so we're going to have England. And England, this is going to be during that time of Elizabeth, the Elizabeth era. And she's going to have these government-sponsored pirates called sea dogs. And what they're going to do is they're going to steal from the Spanish. And then they're going to establish the British East Indian Company. And what that is, it's going to be, well, it is, or it was, it's a joint stock company, and it's going to set up trade posts. So trade posts that they can, you know, get products and goods from India to England and vice versa. And in North America, they're going to establish these colonies called Jamestown and Plymouth. And that's around the 17th century. And we all know very well how that turned out. I'm not going to go into detail with that because I personally don't care, and I don't think I need to know. And what England's going to want to do is they're going to look for a northwest passage through North America. So, you know, we have this huge North America, and they're looking for a river that passes through every single part, or just right through North America. And that's also what France is going to be looking for. And France is really going to compete with Britain for the same route, and they're going to compete over the land. And France, you know, unlike other Europeans who kind of use the natives as subordinates, and France, I mean, they're definitely going to do that also, but they also try to form alliances with natives. And what that's going to give us is the French and Indian War. So really, the French and Indian War, the name is a little misleading, but really it's going to be a war where France and the Native Americans are going to team up against Britain and against England, but the result was that England won. And that war was from 1754 to 1763. Again, the dates aren't necessary, but you kind of do need to know like around what time they are roughly. Okay, so the end result of the Columbian Exchange is, well, not the Columbian Exchange, of the Age of Exploration, is we're going to have the Columbian Exchange, and we already went over that. And another thing is the slave trade. You know, this one's really important because afterwards we're going to have to know about the Atlantic slave trade, and it really comes from, like I said, the end of the encomienda system, where, you know, at first they try to make use of the natives to work for them, but as they've been exposed to European diseases, they die off. And so that's when they start turning to Africa for free labor. And then we're going to have mercantilism. And mercantilism is this economic belief that there should be more exports than imports in a country. And so what that's going to lead to is going to really cause the European countries to exploit their colonies and produce products for the mother country to sell and distribute across Europe. And, you know, this is when this is going to allow the mother countries to really profit, and this is where we have that development of capitalism. And next result is going to be the spread of religion. So before I've mentioned God, glory, and gold. God is it's going to be the spread of religion, and they're going to expose the natives to Christianity. You know, they really consider the natives to be uncivilized, and they think that they can fix their way of life through Christianity, which obviously is not the move, and it's totally wrong. But that's what happened. And the next thing is formation of joint stock companies. So companies like the British East Indian Company, where they're going to where each countries are going to have those companies where they can invest money for exploration, for more resource extraction from the colonies, and where those companies are gonna set up trade posts, in the New World and in each of the colonies. And next is going to be the Europe standard of living is going to increase. And really, this is because they're going to have new products coming in from the New World. And that means more profit. More profit means, just more money for everyone. And it's really going to increase their standard of living. And finally, it's going to be the destruction and devastation in the New World. Native lives are going to be lost, and culture is going to be lost, and for some forever, and they could never come back again, and that's very bad, and that's horrible. And yeah, this is it for Unit 1 review. See you next time, I hope.